up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maddison Hill, and yes, it is time for another Pop Off with Maddison because we have got to talk about Miss Olivia Jade. She has officially broken her silence. She is speaking out for the first time since the entire college admissions scandal, and you already know I have some thoughts. We're not going to even waste any time except for me to tell you that my merch store is live. In case you missed the video, you can find all of my merch at houseofhill.com. Okay, now it's officially time to get started, talk about Olivia Jade, and unwrap the facts. So a little background for those of you who might be unfamiliar with who Olivia Jade is. She's a YouTuber, content creator, beauty influencer, and she is the daughter of Lori Loughlin, aka Aunt Becky for all of you Full House fans, and fashion designer Massimo Giannulli. Both of Olivia's parents were part of the huge college admissions scandal that broke a while back. Both of her parents were accused of paying college admissions counselor Rick Singer up to $500,000 to get Olivia and her sister into USC under the disguise of them being recruits for the USC rowing team. After trying to fight their innocence for quite some time, both of Olivia's parents finally pled guilty. They are both currently in federal prison. Her mom, Lori Loughlin, is said to get out most likely before Christmas, while her dad probably won't be out until around the spring. Obviously, while all of this was going down, Olivia and her sister stopped attending USC, and Olivia also lost some followers and a lot of her brand deals. However, now this is the first time that Olivia is officially speaking out and doing her first interview since her parents pled guilty and now have gone to federal prison, and she chose to speak out on Red Table Talk. Now, before I get into what Olivia had to say during the interview, I want to talk about what happened at the very beginning of the Red Table Talk video when Gam fully admitted she did not want Olivia coming to the Red Table at all. She actually said she fought it really hard for her to not come and do the interview because she felt like Olivia was using their platform as part of her redemption tour, and I've got to admit I 1000% agree with where Gam was coming from. However, despite Gam fighting tooth and nail, Jada still chose to have Olivia come to the table, and poor Willow was just kind of caught in the middle. Now, as far as the big takeaways from the interview, or at least the parts that I felt were big takeaways, first and foremost, Olivia Jade admitted that she absolutely lived in a bubble, and that initially, when she found out about the news, when the news broke, she was on spring break with her friends, and when she was reading what her parents had done, she didn't even feel like they did anything wrong because all of the parents she knew and all of her friends' parents that lived in this bubble with her, they were all donating to schools left and right. She didn't understand that they even broke the law at first. Obviously now she recognizes that what they did is wrong. Olivia also admitted to working with a college counselor. Again, this is something that she said a lot of people in her bubble were doing. She didn't think anything of it. She also admitted that this said college counselor, which we can assume is Rick Singer, did in fact change her application. She said that whenever she filled out her college applications, she remembered talking about her YouTube channel and VidCon, and obviously we know that's not what ended up being submitted to the school. Olivia also talked about her parents coming from a place of wanting to provide for their children and wanting the best for their children because both her mom and her dad did not actually go to college. So Olivia said, truthfully, they weren't coming from a vicious place. They were coming from a place of wanting her and her sister to have the education and to have an experience that neither of them had. Olivia also addressed that now infamous YouTube video where she was on camera saying that she didn't really know how much school she was going to attend. She didn't really care that much about school, and really the only thing she cared about were game days and parties. Olivia said, quote, "That sits with me and makes me cringe." Girl, same. And it's embarrassing that I ever said those types of things. And not only said them, but edited it, uploaded it, and then saw the response to realize it was wrong. There was no malicious intent behind it. I was never trying to hurt anybody or say those things to brag about my life. I was oblivious. I sit here now and I'm like, how don't you realize stuff like that? That's embarrassing that that did fly over your head. Throughout the entire interview, Olivia admitted to her privilege, and she also admitted to her parents' wrongdoing. Now, while I feel like Olivia did address some things during the interview, there were still some things I feel like she did not address, and I also have some thoughts on the interview in its entirety, so let's just go ahead and pop off. Oh, I found my home shambong finally. Yay! All right, so to get this pop-off started, I just want to give you a little background for those of you who have not seen me talk about Olivia Jade at all. When this scandal first broke, I went hard on Olivia Jade. I had absolutely no sympathy for her at all. I still don't really have sympathy for her at all because I found it absolutely inexcusable that she played a part in taking a spot from someone who most likely worked their off to be on the rowing team at USC. While yes, I acknowledge that her parents were the ones who did the majority of the wrongdoing in this situation, Olivia still participated in taking pictures on a rowing machine to send in as part of her application, which to me shows that she knew something was up and still participated. And I guess for me, that was my biggest issue with the interview, was the fact that that wasn't addressed. Olivia's role in the scam was not addressed. Olivia sat up on a rowing machine, her sister did as well, and let her parents take pictures of her fake training for a sport that she never played to send in as part of her application of this whole situation, and yet that was not addressed. I pretty much felt like during the whole interview, she was sitting there with her hands up saying, my parents did all of this, and I acknowledge it's wrong, and I know they did this because I have privilege, but I didn't know any of this was happening. Girl, I'm sorry. When your parents had to do that, you had to know something was up. I don't care what bubble you were living in, you are talking to your friends, you are talking to them about the college admissions process, and from those conversations, I guarantee you could come to the conclusion that it was not normal, it was not what everyone else was doing, to sit up on a fake rowing machine and pretend like you're training for your parents to send those pictures as part of your college application. I'm sorry. I know she was living in a bubble, and I know parents were donating to schools left and right, but I really find it hard to believe that kids left and right were taking pictures on different athletic machines as part of their admissions process. I personally believe Olivia Jade didn't care enough to question her parents. I believe that she was just going with the flow because this is something that they told her to do. And I guess for me, that's really what I was looking for her to admit during this interview. I was really looking for her to take some personal responsibility. And while yes, she did take personal responsibility for living in a bubble, she took personal responsibility for not wanting to step outside her bubble of privilege, I just felt like she didn't really take any personal responsibility for her actions in the scandal and for taking somebody's spot who freaking worked really hard to get there. I also feel like throughout the interview, Jada really looked for ways to help Olivia not start bursting out into tears because like I said earlier, Gam was really the one who was hitting her with the hard questions, asking her about her privilege. I honestly feel like Gam represented how a lot of us felt when the news broke and honestly still feel to this day, which is I don't feel sorry for someone who lost some brand deals and Instagram followers when at the end of the day, their parents have an absolute ton of money and they're going to be fine regardless. And there are people out there who actually have real problems. Again, the people who have my empathy in this situation are the spots that Olivia took. I feel like Gam definitely felt that way. I feel like she represented the people who felt that way. But I also feel like it was really good to have Jada there to kind of lead Olivia through the conversation. And again, I do feel like it was good for her to have a platform to acknowledge her privilege, to definitely acknowledge the fact that she did live in a bubble and that she knows she needs to start stepping outside of it and actually start doing something to give back. Now, you know, I always kind of like to end pop-offs with where do we go from here? And as far as where does Olivia Jade go from here, I think this is just step one of her redemption tour. I think we're going to start seeing her step out in public a lot more. I think we're going to see her start making a bigger return to YouTube, to Instagram. I feel like we're just going to start seeing her make a much bigger return to public life. So we'll see. I mean, we have to at least, I guess, give her the chance to redeem herself. I'm very, very, very cautious in Olivia's redemption. It's definitely a wait and see situation for me. But honestly, now I want to hear what you think. What did you think about Olivia Jade's Red Table Talk interview? Do you feel like she's forgiven in your eyes? Does she still have some work to do? Let out your thoughts and feels down below. While you're at it, please give this video a thumbs up. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget that notification bell. While you're at it, you can also follow me over on my Instagram. I do mini pop-offs on my Instagram Reels Monday through Friday, so make sure you check those out. If you're interested in my new merch store, make sure you go to houseofhill.com. I also have a video up on my channel explaining my merch, how the process works, what you can find on there, so definitely check out that video as well. And again, you can find it all at houseofhill.com. And on that note, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!